Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Sacrifice for the gods of iron. Everybody welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem Radio Show. It is Sunday, February 15th. I hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day yesterday. We got a killer show for everybody tonight. Salvador Acosta of Tsunami is our guest, as well as Dave Cardenas of Rahway. You have to forgive me, I'm still nursing this flu. I don't know what I have over here, but I've had it for about 2 weeks now, and I have a sore throat, and my voice keeps cracking and going hoarse, so I do apologize once again, but we got a great one, like I said. Sal from Tsunami and Dave from Rahway, tonight's show, right there, Running Wild, God Divine, Running Wild in the good old days before they went all pirate with all the rounds afterwards. So I absolutely love those first two records by Running Wild. All right, I'm going to try to keep the chit chat down to a minimum because I want to save my voice for tonight's interviews. So we're going to keep jumping into the music. How about some Adam Craft with Future Warriors? I wish Tony Dolan would get back to Adam Craft and forget about this Venom Inc. There's three versions of Venom, and the other two have all original members in there. So let's get back to Adam Craft. Here you go. Classic Adam Craft. Future Warriors.
A new era takes its place now, an era of want and slaughter. For the slayers take the earth, and they shall be the new race. A race of warriors, new warriors, not of the past but of times to come. The future warriors.
sword, they were done. We were crossing our swords in the sun. Oh yeah! Wow! Standing on a raging battlefield, flash against integrated circuits. Where do these magics come from? We're gonna rust. That's it! But suddenly there was another attack of these metallic monsters. At the point of the sword, they were done. We were crossing our swords in the sun. Yeah, at the point of the sword, they were done. We were crossing our swords in the sun. Right now, do it done right now. I am the one you're looking for. There is no other way. All others are trackers. They're called the unforeseen. There's a reason why. For the power of Trinity. All others are endless lives. Yeah. They call it a silent scream, a robber without a sound. But those who cannot see, you know the hammer comes down. You look at me in a certain way. You let it all unfold. You think you'll get away? No way. When the hammer comes down, no one will be around. When the hammer comes down, get the hell out of town. Lying, I caught on my head's on the low. Feel like shit when won't let it show. Sun's rising over the top of my head. It's a beautiful day, but I feel I'm dead. Like I'm dead. When the hammer comes down, no one will be around. When the hammer comes down,
All right, there you go. Some Rated X with Captain Crunch. Before that, Black Hawk out of Germany. That band was around since the late 70s, but I think that record came out 89 EP. That was The Point of the Sword. And before that, Adam Kraft with Future Warriors. We kick things off with Running Wild, God Divine. We're going to get to Sal in about 15 minutes or so. Play one or two more tunes between now and then. I guess by now everybody heard the news that Ross the Boss has ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease. You know, there's no cure for that, and they give you maybe a couple of years, and that's a damn shame because Ross has been on this show countless times over the years promoting multiple different bands that he's been a part of, and I've been lucky enough to hang out with him and go down to his batting cages in Queens, and he's a super nice guy, and I feel horrible for him. You know, it could be a year, it could be 3 years, but you know, it's kind of a death sentence ALS, and it's a damn shame. It could happen to a better guy. You know, Ross is such good people. So how about we do some Manowar? But before we do that, and because I actually played Manowar the other day on the Valentine's show. I don't usually repeat bands twice in a week, but we're gonna do it tonight. And before we do that, let's get on some Kate's Acid. You guys wanted to hear brand new Kate's Acid last week. I'm trying to save my voice for an interview. I don't know what I have. I'm all hoarse and sore again, so you have to forgive me. But let's get on Kate's Acid. Do not burn the witch, and we'll go right into some Manowar after that.
She lives in the misty swamps, and is a chemist of the West. Her skills and ancient knowledge, her secret mysteries untold. Believe me, I am telling you, she is not the one to blame. In the march against the giants, her power still remains the same. Do not burn the witch. Do not burn the witch. For one day she may come in handy. Do not burn the witch. Do not burn the witch. For she is the one and only.
battle hymns did sound the call. You came to our side. You heard true metal into glory ride. Come on now, you stood beside us. For one drive. Your love is judgment. You gave us life. You wait in the rain. You walk through the snow. We give you our blood.
Oh man, Tsunami with Revenge. I feel like Bobby Brady on the Brady Bunch when he was going through puberty. His voice keeps cracking. I apologize. I've been so sick the last week or so. I didn't want to cancel this week's show because we have live guests on. So let's give Sal a call right now. Get this interview going. We'll try to get through it the best we can. So deal with me here a minute while I dial him up. All right, here we go.
Hello,
Sal, it's Mike. You're on the air live. How are you, my friend?
Mike. How you doing, bro?
I'm a little under the weather, so if my voice starts cracking, forgive me. I can't help it. I got a sore throat.
Oh, I understand. No problem. I'm sorry that you have a sore throat, and I'm glad that you called though.
I'm happy to have you on here. I know we spoke about a week or so ago, but now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of Tsunami and Salvador Maximus and all the good stuff that you've been producing for the last 4 decades.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And as a listener, it's been like that for us too. And I remember going into my record store in 1983, I want to say, and seeing that Tsunami record up on the
Yeah.
wall, and I became a fan after that.
Yeah. That was when it was first released, and I remember walking around the malls down here in San Jose, and people were buying our records, and it was really a nice feeling, knowing that people like your music.
Oh, it has to be. I mean, so going back to the beginning for people that aren't familiar with the band that doesn't know anything about Tsunami, I mean, how did it all come together for you guys? I mean, it actually does it go back to the late '70s?
Yeah, well, and I think it was the late '70s. And what happened is I was playing in another band with my friend, the Jay Ogle band, kind of a heavy metal blues type thing, and he kept showing up late all the time at rehearsal, and the same rehearsal studio that we rehearsed in, Tsunami was there. Uh, the original Tsunami, all the guys that were in the band. But what happened is their bass player, and they never really played anywhere. They just kind of jammed and all that. But their bass player was killed in a motorcycle accident, and they were after about a month later, when the sadness kind of died down, they were auditioning bass players. So I got tired of the band that I was in, of the guitar player, lead singer showing up late all the time. So I moved up. I moved my Ampeg bass equipment into their practice room, and they auditioned me. And they auditioned about, I guess, maybe about 11, 15 different guys. And they called me up about a week later and said, "Well, we want you to join the band." And I joined. And but they didn't write any music. They just played a couple of covers, and they really weren't that serious. But when I joined the band, I started writing music, and we started getting a set list down. We learned about 35, 40 songs, and I started managing the band and getting us gigs and all that, and we took off.
So you're the one we have to thank for all that. Like you were saying, they were Tsunami in name, but they really weren't the Tsunami that we came to know because there really was no original music written at that time. It really didn't start happening until you joined and started contributing to the songwriting.
Yeah, and that's what happened. But they were all really good, but they were kind of lazy, and they didn't rehearse as much as you should if you want to be serious. So we started rehearsing more, and they started playing better. And I went, well, and they're all really nice guys. We got along great, and so we really had a good time. We rehearsed 3 or 4 times a week, and then I had a high school friend, Cliff Davis. He was wanted to be in the music business, and so he goes, "Well, Sal, let me manage you guys." So he ended up getting our first record deal with Enigma Records.
And Enigma, weren't they part of EMI or another larger label too?
I'm not really sure, but uh, Enigma Records did Motley Crue, their first album, and a couple other bands. I don't remember really, but we were excited because Motley Crue was on Enigma Records, and then we got signed to Enigma Records, and then we made the Billboard charts, number 60,
Wow.
in in all of the United States, and we were on over 200 radio stations, and things just picked up. It took us about 4 or 5 years to really get really serious, and we started playing a lot of shows, warming up for a lot of big bands, And then that's when we got signed, and things just took off from there.
Yeah, but when it did get serious, like it says, the record label happened. The album makes the top 100 for a heavy metal record in 1983. I mean, that's really
Yeah.
impressive when you think about it. You signed to a major type of label. I mean, then you know what happens, like, because we didn't have the internet back then, so we relied on heavy metal fanzines and magazines to keep up with what bands were doing or having pen
Oh
pals.
yeah.
And
Yep.
I don't. Then like next thing you know, like I don't hear from Tsunami for for 7 or 8 years after that. I mean, what happened after that record came out?
Well, what happened is we got our publishing was signed with Lawrence Folk Music Group, and so they took a percentage of our publishing. They gave us $20,000 check to help us, you know, take care of ourselves, and they wanted us to move to LA because we were from the Cupertino, San Jose area, and then we since San Francisco was a bigger known place, we said we were from San Francisco.
Yeah.
But what happened is the band, we decided, well, let's move to LA. And so we moved down there, but our lead singer, Doug Ditton, the singer that sung the Runaround,
Yeah.
the rest of the guys moved down there, but the second guitar player, Tom Yamamoto, quit the band. His dad helped him start a company with fiberglass bodies for race cars. And so his dad really didn't want him to play music, and he didn't want him to move to LA. So he bribed his son to quit the band, and he did.
Wow.
So then Doug Ditton showed up about a month later because we went down there and got a house and got all situated. Then Doug shows up, the lead singer, with one of his friends, and we see him out in the front yard, and we're like, all right, cool, Doug's here. We can start rehearsing pretty soon. And so then he gets back in his car with his friend, and I didn't see him for like 25 years later.
Wow.
He just left, and he didn't tell us anything. And so we ended up getting another singer, but he ended up quitting too. He was he wasn't a heavy metal type singer like Doug was. But while we were down in LA, I became friends with Megadeth and with the lead singer Dave Mustang, and the other his bass player's name was Dave too.
Yeah.
And I used to say Dave 1 and Dave 2, but we became friends. We rehearsed at the same room, Mars Studio in LA, and we became really good friends. And they were just starting to take off, and they really didn't sound that good at first. When I ended up leaving LA and said goodbye to Dave, about a year later, they started getting really popular. And I thought, man, and they started sounding really good. Well, of course, they got so good, they became worldwide and really famous. But I remember Dave Mustang and I would sit around his kitchen table, and he would tell me about how Metallica threw him out of the band because he was drinking too much and not showing up late, just not behaving himself. And so they got rid of him. And and of course, Metallica made it really big too. So, but Dave, he pulled through. He really loved music. He was a really good guy. And so, at the time when I left, the guys in the band quit. They just went back home. And it was my brother and I and a couple of other roadies stayed in LA for a while. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to go back to San Jose and start another band, another Tsunami. So a few years later, I got the second Tsunami together, and we got signed with Intercord Records in Germany. And so we did some more. And so everybody was different. I got two different Japanese guys. It was Brian Shoya and Steve Susumi, and the lead guitar player, Jimmy Freeze, and then I played bass. And so we wrote some new music. They were really good writers, and it was a little bit different. We were a little bit more cleaner sounding, more refined. But so we had a different type of people like this, more like the cleaner sounding bands is what we kind of went towards. And we didn't really look tough. We kind of went semi glam, semi tough looking. I didn't like it, but the rest of the guys wanted to go in that direction. But it sounded really good. We were in a lot of magazines. We were all over Europe and the United States. But we didn't make the Billboard charts with that band. But we were in a lot of heavy metal magazines like Circus Magazine, Metal Hammer, and a bunch of other ones that were really good.
I can't help but think. I mean, you have all that success with the first record, getting signed to the label, breaking into the top 100, and Doug
Yeah,
backs out. You lose a guitar player, all right, that happens in bands. You get a new guitar player to come in. You lose a singer, that's kind of rough. And then Doug is out of the picture, and like six, seven
yeah,
years go by before Tough on the Fire comes out, and that whole '80s window just kind of like evaporated before you. It seems like a shame that they just couldn't make it all work
yeah.
out.
Well, when the lead singer quit, and the lead singer, that's well, along with the usually the lead guitarist are the most popular guys in the band, and the other guys were popular too. But being the lead singer, when Doug left, it was really hard to get restarted again. And what happens when you lose the momentum? You kind of lose interest in the music world. So when I got the second band together, uh, with Brian and Steve and Jimmy and myself, we had the bass player from the Doobie Brothers had his own studio, and he said, "Well, why don't you guys come down? I'll front you the money. We'll do an album with you guys, and then we'll get it out." And so that's what we did. And
And that,
so he was, yeah. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say that's Tough on the Fire you're talking about.
Yeah, Tough Under Fire. We did that, and it was finished in 1990. And then I became friends with Greg Goldie from Dio at that same time, and so I became friends with Craig Goldie. We played some shows together, 4 or 5 shows in San Jose and in Tahoe and Reno, and we had a lot of fun. But then, uh, and that was when Tsunami was kind of came. The second Tsunami came to an end. I just thought, well, I'll play with Greg Goldie for a while, and we became friends. And I used to go down to LA all the time and visit with him and his wife Paige at the time. But and then we thought about getting a band together and writing music together. And then Ronnie James Dio wanted him back in the band, so of course he went with Dio. There was no decision on that. But we became really good friends. He was a great guy, and what a great guitar player that guy was.
He
It
is.
was really fun playing bass for him. And we had a drummer, I don't remember his name. And I had my friend Jay Ogle from earlier. He's the band that I quit when I joined Tsunami. He ended up being the lead singer for us for a while. So when I played, a lot of times the same musicians would come back because we were always friends with everybody. And once you make friends with a bunch of rock and rollers, myself, I stayed friends with all of them. And and I think one of the things was too is we started drinking a lot and doing a lot of coke and smoking pot, and the women started getting wild, and so we went through a crazy stage there, like a lot of bands went through.
Hey, that's the rock and roll lifestyle back in the day. That's how the '80s
Oh
were.
yeah, yeah, in the '80s and in the '90s too. It slowed down in the '90s, but and eventually, I went to a few rehabs because I got so wild and stuff. So, but all that came to an end. I've been clean and sober now for many years, and I'm one of those Christian guys. But I still love, the hard rock, heavy metal. So I got a third Tsunami together, and me being the only original member, but with Bobby Simcox and on lead guitar. What a great guitar player this guy is. And then John Cherry and another guy, Kenny, the drummer. So I wrote all the music, and I ended up becoming the lead singer for Tsunami at that time because I got tired of having to kiss butt to the lead singers
Yeah.
because they always thought they were, better than everybody else. They showed up late. They wanted to leave early. And then they would, leave the show right away with a couple of girls. And we didn't get a chance to hang out and visit with everybody. And we signed a lot of autographs at that time. it was one of the fun things about being in a band at that level. And even though we didn't make it super big, we were definitely big enough where we warmed up for a lot of major bands, and so we had a good time. It was, and we headlined a lot of shows, and whenever we played, like 500, 1,500 people shows, they were always sold out when we headlined, and they would sell out before the first band even went on. So we were doing really good.
That's
So
a
it was a
great
lot
deal.
of fun.
Well,
Yeah, but you have to stay together. And so when the first band broke up, the second band broke up, then the third band, we started doing pretty well. But I managed the band, but we didn't play any big shows. But we played a lot of the big clubs, and we played like 3 or 4 times a week. And so it was a lot of fun. And but then the guys, they didn't realize that since I was a Christian, and they really weren't Christians, but when they realized that all my lyrics had to do with biblical stuff, they didn't like it. And I said, well, you know, now that you guys, we've been together for 3 or 4 years, and now you don't like it. I said, well, I'm not gonna. I didn't want to write music that was about sex, drugs, and rock and roll anymore. I just didn't want to do it. So they quit. And then many years went by, but we got back together in 2015. I got some of the guys. I got Doug Ditton back from the first album. I got Steve Tsunami and Brian Shoya from the second album. And then I got Bobby Simcox from his third album. And we started touring again, and we did a couple of big shows with Slaughter and Cinderella, big outdoor shows. And but everybody had lived in different states, and it was too hard for us to get together and rehearse all the time. So the band fell apart. And but that was that's when I met Doug Denton again. It was like 25, 30 years later. And so he was still kind of a little bit self-righteous, and I didn't really want to put up with him, even though I loved the guy and we had a good time together. But behind the scenes, I didn't. I just lost respect for him because when he chickened out and left Tsunami out in the cold, and we had the Billboard charts number 60, and things are going really good, and for the lead singer to quit, it really hurt the band. And so I did forgive him, but I didn't like. I don't know. I just lost interest in playing with him. So that band fell apart. So several years later, I started. I stayed. I've been singing all these years, and I wrote a bunch of new music. So I play Christian hard rock, heavy metal now. Now it sounds, we're really heavy hard rock, but it's mainly just me. And I have a couple of guitar player friends. I go to the studio. I recorded all the music with my 2 guitar player friends, and so that's out now. It's called Salvador Maximus, and the name of the album is called Kingdom of the Lamb. And the music's really good. I'm really happy with it. And so it's been released, but I have a website called salvadormaximus.com, and it cost me a lot of money for that website.
yeah, they
But
do.
I'm having a company selling my records, and so they'll be on sale really soon. And I have T-shirts for sale, and so I'm also looking for permanent band members. So I'm auditioning lead guitar players and drummers and keyboard players. And one of my favorite bands now is Rammstein. I really like the 2 guitar players, keyboards, drummers sound, and they're really an excellent band. And I know they're an older band, but I really like those guys. And I really love Ozzy. He's probably my favorite guy.
Ozzy's the king. He passed away recently. Rammstein is such a
Yeah,
humongous band. I mean, to me, I feel like that band came out of nowhere, and they're like one of
yeah.
the biggest bands in the world. I mean, especially like with their live shows. I mean, it's just incredible what these guys do up
Oh,
on
oh
stage.
yeah, yeah. And so, and Black Sabbath and Ozzy and all those guys. And I really like Dio a lot. And Scorpions are one of my favorite bands, and they're still kicking butt. But Rammstein is one of my favorite bands, along with Ozzy. And I really, I was really upset when Ozzy passed away, like everybody else, all over the world. They just loved that guy. He was such a character, and his voice was so good. And with Zach Wild and all the other guitar players he played with, Randy Rhoads, how could you not love his music?
Oh, absolutely. He's a legend, and you know it is. We all get older. We're all gonna join him one day. Hopefully for us, it's be many more years down the road. But the good news is that I think
Oh yeah,
lost
yeah. I'm an
Swell.
older guy now.
Yeah, we all are. We're all we before you
What's
turn
that
around and
now?
look, we're all much older now. You look in the mirror, I'm like, where'd all that gray hair come from? I mean,
Oh,
you can't help it.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a long beard. I got kind of the. I really like Zach Wild, and I really like his beard, so I grew a long beard, and I keep in shape. I walk about 10, 15 miles a week, and I do Tai Chi to stay in shape, and I feel really good. And I got married in the middle of all this, and my wife passed away. She didn't behave herself, and she never stopped drinking and all that stuff. And so it finally killed her when she was about 50 years old. But I have two really giant sons. Like I'm 6 foot, about 195 pounds.
Wow.
But my sons are like way bigger than I am, and they're really handsome. I'm really proud of them. They work hard. They love God and country, and we get along great. And I live with them too.
That's a beautiful thing. That's it. When it comes down
Oh
to the end, it's
yeah,
all about family because everybody else will leave you, but family always sticks by your side.
oh yeah. And you have a beautiful wife too, and you have kids.
I've got 2 kids and 3 grandkids.
Oh God, praise God. God bless you, Mike. My sons are still unmarried. I don't have any grandkids, but I keep telling them, come on. And they just, they have this thing that, well, Dad, the world's so crazy and all this stuff. We don't know if we're going to get married. And I said, well, every generation has craziness going on.
Absolutely.
And but what makes America great and a country great is the families. You got to have family. Keep the kids going. You got to work hard and take care of yourself, and do your best to be a decent human being. And so, but I understand why they're kind of afraid to get married and have kids. But like you and I, we're about the same age, and I just think being married and having kids is just one of the best things in life that we can be involved in.
It absolutely is. Like I said, I got one living with me with her 2 kids, so I know exactly what you feel like.
Well,
Both.
that's great. I'm jealous of you. I want some grandkids too.
You'll get there. Don't worry about it. Before you know, you're gonna turn around one day and you're gonna be called grandpa. So don't worry about it. You'll get there.
Oh yeah, I can feel the groove, and and my dad's still alive. He's like 92. My mom passed away about a day before my first son was born, Sal,
Uh,
and so that was a bittersweet time having your mother die and then having your son being born the next day. But then I have another son. His name is Mike too, Mike. So I
wow.
I have a Sal and a Mike. Yeah.
I
And
love it.
but life is good, and let me tell you, man, I got the love from my dad, and then my dad, about 6, 7 years later, he got remarried, and his wife is like 30 years younger than him, and Matt, actually, she's younger than I am, and but we get along great. I love her; she's a great gal, and she loves my dad, and so life is really good. And my brother Mark passed away about 6 years ago, and but I have another brother, Randy. He lives in Tennessee. He married a beautiful wife, and so life is good. And I have a lot of family members, and so it's life is really good. I'm having a good time.
That's all that matters. That's the most important thing. And the fact that you're still making music and creating music, that's a big thing too. And with the Salvador Maximus stuff, I mean, I know you're looking to get a more permanent lineup together for that. Do you think you're going to do the
Yeah.
same with Tsunami again, or is it just maybe at this point we could just mix the both together under your banner?
Oh yeah. Well, I got a call about 6 months ago from a record company called Lost Realm Records, and the guy that called, yeah, I think he's vice president or one of the head guys of the record company. His name is Andre, and he called me out of the blue, and I said, he goes, "Is this Salvador Maxim?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "The bass player and leader from Tsunami." And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Well, I want to redistribute all three of your LPs worldwide, and I want to sign you." And so I signed an agreement with him. He gives me a good percentage, and everything should be out pretty. And another a month or two, everything should be released worldwide. He's starting to advertise it. And so that's why I got my Salvador Maximus website going to not only promote my new stuff, but also it's going to be resold all three albums: the first album, the the second album, and the third album was called "Stand Against the Wickedness." And so it's really good. I'm really excited. It should be out anytime now. And so Tsunami will be back in action. I'm gonna get my band that I want to get together now. We're gonna play my new music, but we're gonna play a handful of the favorite Tsunami songs, and we'll play underneath the banner of Salvador Maximus. But we're gonna do some Tsunami music too, so it's gonna be a good thing.
That'd be great, and just to have "Stand Against the Wickedness" come out again because that kind of went under the radar when it came out because it was a tough time in music, in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
So it'd be
yeah.
good for
It
people to hear
didn't
this
do as
again.
well as the first, but it's my. I really liked it, but it. I'm hoping, and we got a new album cover on it, and and all three LPs have been remastered and re EQ'd, so they sound the best they can sound, and it'll be CDs and albums, and then you'll be able to get it electronically, so you can have it on your computer or your iPhone, whatever you want, however you want to buy it.
That's a great thing. Are there any other Tsunami songs out there that we haven't heard yet? Maybe stuff that just never made it to record that you might be able to get out there one
Oh
day?
yeah. What I did is I have a song called "Going Down." It's a heaven and hell type song with the second singer, uh, Coach Brian, and the drummer, and then Mark Yami, or I mean Tom Yamamoto's younger brother, Marcus Yamamoto. We did a song together, and so that's going to be on the second album. It'll be a bonus track. And then we did two more songs that I sang with Bobby and was named John Cherry and two different drummers on each, a different drummer on each song. And one of them is called "Same Dreams," and the other song is called "Death to Evil." That'll be on the last album that we did. Tsunami did "Stand Against the Wickedness." Those would be two bonus tracks on that album.
Oh, that's gonna be fantastic. With that last record, like I said, you also did the vocals on there. Was it a difficult decision? I know you said because you didn't want to have to deal with, a lead singer and the attitude
Well,
that they come with.
after all these years, I just learned how to sing, and so I became the singer on the third Tsunami record. And then I just decided this time around I'll just continue to sing. I'm a better singer now than I was on the third Tsunami LP, and I learned how to breathe better, and I can sing like every day without getting a irritated throat. So. And my writing's a lot better, and I'm a much better controlled bass player now. When I was younger, I kind of overplayed a little bit. I didn't realize I was overplaying because I was all hyped up and amped up, and my style was that way. And Geezer Butler overall was my favorite bass player from Black Sabbath.
Oh, absolutely.
But yeah, so I kind of became more controlled, but I still have that Geezer Butler sound. And the bass players that played in Dio were my favorite bass players too. So that's kind of my style now.
That's those classic 70 bass players, that had that sound to them. And being a bass player myself, I always feel like we are the most important member of any band. Never mind the guitar players and the lead singers. It's all
Yeah.
it's all about us.
Well, yeah. Well, the drummer and the bass player are the backbone to the band.
Yep,
You got
absolutely.
to have a good drummer and a strong bass player because that's your foundation, and then you build on that. And of course, if you got an excellent singer and a guitar player that sounds good, and you have a decent rhythm guitar player, well, what makes the difference with a lot of bands is the songwriting ability. Because a lot of guys are really good players, but you got to have those songs.
Well, when you came into Tsunami, I mean,
And
like it says, they were still doing covers at that point in time. So, you took over songwriting
yeah,
duties at that point. So, was there a distinctive style or like a songwriting thing like a sound for the band that you wanted to come up with? Because early '80s, not a lot of bands taking place right at that point in time. Not a lot of genres, I should say, of heavy metal or hard rock. So, what direction did you
yeah.
want the band to go? Did you want the band to be commercial enough to have radio success or heavy enough to appeal to the
Well,
new crowd?
Well, that was always on our mind. You want to have your music on the radio stations, but we also wanted to play, hard rock, heavy metal. Now, there were some bands heavier than us, but we were at least in the middle of it. We were heavy enough and hard rock enough, and had a few songs that were commercial enough where we went over the hard hump that you need to go over to have some kind of success. So I really think that if that original band would have stayed together, because we were writing music for our second album, and that's why a Lawrence Welk Music Group signed us because they thought we were going to even do better on the second Tsunami LP, and of course the third and fourth if that would have happened. So we were coming up with some really good songs, but the band broke up, so we'll never know what really could have happened. But music's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed using the brand Tsunami, and I've been in all three releases, and so it was really great. But I had to let Tsunami go, and I didn't keep the copy or the you have to pay to keep the name. Like every so many years, you have to pay
Yeah.
if you want to own the name. So eventually, Tsunami started getting used in different countries. And so there's like three or four tsunamis all over the world. So that happened. So when all that started happening, I thought, well, I'm not going to use Tsunami anymore. I'm just going to get a different name. And then I just decided to use my own name because I was the only guy left. I thought, well, I'll just call myself my stage name, which is, it was Max Float on the first album.
Yeah.
Then the second album, it was Salvador Max. And then on the third album, I became Salvador Maximus. The guys in the band started calling me Maximus, and I thought, you know what? I like that. So my stage name now on the fourth album that I'm doing, Salvador Maximus, Kingdom of the Lamb, it's now Salvador Maximus.
You're better off. Like I said, you can mix in the Tsunami with it during the live shows and appeal to that crowd. But you know what? With these records coming out again on Lost Realm, you're going to wind up finding an entire new audience for your music that wasn't around
Oh
when this came
yeah,
out the first
yeah.
time.
Well, yeah, and we have like about 600 people already that are interested in buying Tsunami's music again, and a lot of people, most of the people are our age, and I'm like, and it's not even advertised really. I just put out uh, some messages that it's going to be out, and then the European record company, Lost World Records, advertised a couple of small advertisements, and we're getting a lot of feedback on it. So once we go into full advertisement, and I get T-shirts made for Tsunami, because I have T-shirts sold for my new music, Salvador Maximus, Kingdom of the Lamb, but I'm going to have T-shirts made for Tsunami, and I'm in the middle of doing that right now.
That's going to be great. And like I was saying, like when you go back to that first record, there was such a variety of sound on there. Like before you called in, I played Revenge, which is like a barn burner, and then you have like the Runaround, which could appeal to like a general audience. I mean, so there was a little bit of something
Yeah,
for everybody on there, but it all flowed together really nicely.
yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah, and I wrote the music to the Runaround, and Doug Ditton wrote the lyrics, and the nice lead guitar work was from Chris Miyazaki, and so with all three of us writing together, it was a good song. And there was "Fade to Black" was one of my favorite songs, and "Call Off the Dogs." "Ninja" was a good song. But we had a lot of fun. It was "Masters of the Night" was one of my favorite songs on there, but on the first album. But rock and roll is so fun, and when we're rehearsing, and we know we have a bunch of shows lined up, marked on the calendar, and we start promoting the shows, especially when we did radio time. That was really fun because we go down there and do interviews, and what we did too is we would uh, have some radio time, and the disc jockeys really liked the band. So what we would do is we would have these events where they could go out and have Chinese food with Tsunami, and then we'd pick the people that won on the radio station in a limo and go out to dinner and then take them to our shows. And so that was a lot of fun. And the people that had won on the radio stations and went out with Tsunami, it was a great time. And they really were really thankful to go out with us. And, it made us feel good too.
I'm sure that must have been a great time. I wish I was around back then when you were doing that in your area. I would have loved that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good time, and I just thank the Lord that I had an opportunity to play, and I'm still playing. I'm still excited, and even though I'm an older guy, I still feel like I'm 30 years old. It doesn't change.
It doesn't.
So,
In our mind, we are that age, and physically maybe not, but in our mind, we are.
well, yeah, my hair is still brown, but my beard has a lot of gray in it. It's about, about almost 12 inches long, but I keep it thin and long. I don't like it. I don't have a big beard. It's mainly just a long beard. But I keep the sides shaved and all that. But it's a lot of fun, and we change as we grow older. I'm much more mellower than I was, and I don't smoke or do drugs. I don't drink or nothing. It's been many years, and so I feel really healthy. And it's just I wish I would have done this when I was younger. I can imagine all the fun that I missed out over drinking and all this stuff. You kind of wild after the shows and stuff. But I have a lot of fond memories, and I'll never drink and do drugs again. But I do remember back where I had a lot of crazy times, rock and roll.
Well, I'm glad you're at where you're at right now, and I'm happy for you. So I'm gonna let you go because I want to play. I want to play the passion, play some more Tsunami, and I got another guest waiting in the wings in about 10 minutes. But man, you're a great guy to talk to, and I love the music you've given us, and I can't wait for more. So get back into that studio and start recording new music.
Yeah, and I'll be in touch with you. And God bless you, Mike, you and your family. And we'll do this again real soon.
You got it, Sal. Take care, my friend. Have a great night.
Okay, adios.
Bye bye. All right, let's get on something from the Salvador Maximus record. We'll do the passion, then we'll follow it up a little bit more Tsunami.
Do you know where you're going? I know who can show you. Do you know where you're going? I know who can show you.
'Cause we don't have time. It's your first decision, and the end is a crime. You stand by the door, you see. You have a choice to leave. All I ask from you, please get me out of here. Walk the road down. Walk the road down. Walk the road down. Walk the road down. False first class addiction makes me fall to the floor. Nothing left to swallow, and you know there's trouble. You are in the mirror, you see. You take the blows and the bleed. But all I ask from you is get me out of here. You stand by the door, you see. You have the choice to leave. All I ask from you, please get me out of here. Walk the road down. Walk the road down. Walk the road down. Walk the road down.
All right, Tsunami off the second record, Room of Doom. Absolutely love that tune. All right, we're gonna get to more music right now. I saw that Megadeth is supposed to be on their final tour, the final record, the final tour. So far, they've played, I think, two tours they've been on. They have one more announced, one more up and coming tour of Canada. There'll be multiple other tours. Now this is gonna go on for like years and years and years. Now Dave Mustaine says in an interview that I'm gonna keep playing till my hand gives out. So is there a timeline on when his hand is going to give out from playing? I mean, is this tour going to go on for like the next 10 years? I mean, isn't it like, I'm doing a final tour. You go out for a year and a half, which is a lot these days for any band to go out on tour and just end it. Why does it have to be like these never ending tours? Like, do they do that like hoping that, they'll sell out tickets over and over again and then they'll say, well, you know what? The fans just, they want us. They don't want us to leave. They don't want us to retire packing this. We're going to keep going. It's just another bullshit move. Speaking of Megadeth, I think it's the week after next. We have Chris Poland, the original Megadeth guitarist, on the show, so that'll be a fun interview. I got to focus on his new record and his new album and his new band, but we got to throw in some Megadeth stuff in there, especially since I know he had a pretty rocky relationship with Dave over the years. It was almost like a, what do you call it, like a Bob Daisley and Ozzy type of thing. Even though they talk shit about each other, they didn't get along, they kept coming back. Bob Daisley kept coming back even though he got screwed by Ozzy and over again, and Chris Poland kind of did the same thing. But we'll mention that then we'll talk about it. But next week, Daryl Fritura of Blind Vengeance is our guest. Don't forget to tune in for that show. We still got Dave Cardenas, the Slumlord of New Jersey, in about 10 minutes or so. We'll get one more set of music in there. I'll try not to talk too much tonight because my voice is just cracking and really hoarse. But Christian wanted to hear Quartz, Hard Road. Let's get that on for him. We'll do a little quick set of music and get to our next guest.
Too late to find a new life, chasing dreams.
Surgical Steel, that band should have been so big. I mean, they had the looks, they had the sound, they had the music, everything. I don't know what happened. It's just luck of the draw in this business. All right, let's talk to Dave Cardenas from Rahway, and then we're gonna wrap up tonight's show. So here you go.
What's
This
up,
is
Mike?
Mike.
How
Can
you
you hear
doing?
me? Good. How you doing today, buddy?
Good, brother.
Great. I gotta apologize. The winter got to me, man. I got bronchitis, a sore throat, plugged in, so if my voice cracks, forgive me.
That's it's okay. It's okay, man. I'm sick as a dog.
It's been a cold 2 weeks.
Ah, you ain't kidding, man.
But listen, I'm glad to have you on here today. Grand Design was the first album I bought by you guys about 10 years ago. And, even though a lot has changed musically with the band and, members and sound wise, you still deliver that unfiltered, groove. I mean, it's just amazing.
Thank you so much.
And you keep doing it with new music now. So, I mean, how did this all come about, this new record?
We had two EPs we recorded over the last 2, 3 years, and we signed with Pavement Entertainment, and so they wanted an album, and I'm like, well, nobody's heard this, so let's put them together, and we put them together and put 13 songs out, and we just self-titled it, made it easier.
Yeah, you have been an independent band since the beginning, releasing everything on your own. So, I mean, does it help having a label now backing you up and supporting you?
100%, 100%.
I mean,
Yeah,
what can they do for you
Pavement
that
is
you guys? What can they do for you that you guys couldn't do on your own? I know distribution is a big thing, obviously, in promotion, but I mean, it seems like you've managed to get the name out there pretty good over the last 2 decades.
Well, we grind out, man. We grind hard. We're like one of the hardest working bands, if not the hardest working band out there.
Yeah, I agree.
But definitely having a label, uh, just just uh, just having a label alone, the street cred on that, you know, people take it a little bit more seriously. And the label sees how hard we work, so they take us a little more seriously. We're not relying on the label to just do everything for us. That's just not the way it works, man. It's just
Yeah.
one step further. That just means you got to work harder. So we just keep moving, man.
Well, is this going to be? I mean, now that you got this out, like I said, you took the music from the EPs, you're putting it out there because maybe a lot of people didn't get it when it was independent, release. So this gives you that big boost. And
Yes.
now, what do you do for the follow up? I mean, are you working on new music? Is it something that's going to come kind of quickly, or are you just going to let this kind of like feel its way around first?
No, we're working on new music. We're always working on new music. So that never ends. Even if we didn't have the label, we'd still be working on new music because it's a constant thing. We're musicians, we're songwriters, we're a band, and that's what we do. If we just sat around and just played the same damn songs all the time, we would just be a cover act. We'd be a Rahway cover
Well, what's funny is that so many of the legacy acts that have been doing this for decades. I mean, they just like, we don't want new music no more. We'll just go play the old songs and the old hits and go out and keep touring on them. But as a musician, I mean, don't you want to be creative? I don't care if you've been doing it for 40 years or 20 years or 10 years. Isn't the whole point to be a
band. Yeah,
musician is to write and create, the music that you love?
100%. That's why you're an artist. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. If some people are artists in the way they paint, some people are artists they draw, some people are artists in the way they glue stuff on a clamshell. Whatever the case may be, you're an artist. You're going to keep on creating.
Very true. I mean, you and your brother Steve have had this thing going since the beginning. You've had a few members come and go over the years. I think you got a pretty stable lineup right now. I mean, is that the hardest part about keeping a band together? Is just finding three or four or five guys to play with that want to make things happen?
100%. 100%. You're married to three other guys. Um, so there's a lot of patience and tolerance, and you learn to accept everybody's idiosyncrasies as you go along. But this is it, man. This is the band. I don't consider anything else I've ever done. Uh, you know, Rahway. This is Rahway. We've been together for 10 years, um, and 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 we are a family. We are a traveling family, dysfunctional as it may be, but we know about each other's lives, and we help each other through the good times and the bad, and we're there, for everything, for children being born, the birthday parties, or whatever, to weddings, and so we are. This is it. This is our family.
Yeah, and I think you got the most solid, stable lineup since you guys have been together right now. And when people come into the band, because I know that you and Steve really are the core of the group. I mean, because you've been there since the beginning, you've kind of founded what it's supposed to be and sound like. Are they open to like contributing like their ideas to make something happen, or they got to say, hey, you know what, these guys got something going on, we got to kind of stick to that formula?
No, again, family affair. Like I come up with a riff, and those three guys attack it like piranhas on meat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no I in this band. We are truly 100% a team. Even if I came in with a whole song, or my brother came in with a whole song, or Nick or Chigger, it doesn't matter because it's gonna get put through the meat grinder, and it's gonna get everybody's flavor on it because that's just the way we are. We're a live act.
Oh,
So
absolutely. But as far as music goes, I mean, like I said, you've had full lengths, you've had EPs. I see a lot of bands favoring more of an EP than an album, a full length album, because they just feel like the audience isn't there for it anymore. Like, the attention span, I should say, is not there for it anymore. Give them three or four good songs instead of 10 great songs because they might forget about the other five or six. Is that like the formula that the band works on where it's better give them a few good songs of real high quality? Everything you do is high quality, but I mean, just giving them a couple of songs at a time to listen to over a longer stretch?
it's today's music isn't one that was yesterday. You know what I mean? You used to look forward to getting a whole album worth of music, and you would sit there and listen to it from beginning to end. And like everybody has the attention span of a gnat today. And
True.
so like the EPs seem to work because monetarily it's more cost effective to make. You already have the other songs, so you don't have to like go out of pocket and just like hammer those out. You can work on those as money's coming in from the other, and everybody's looking for a single. But we wanted to be more traditional and get the whole thing out, and that's just worked out better that way.
It does. I used to think it was the younger generation because they don't have that attention span to sit for a whole record. Sometimes not even a whole song. They just listen to a couple of seconds. If it doesn't draw them in, they move on. But I'm finding myself doing
Yeah,
that a little bit more lately myself. I'm just like, I'm bouncing through things lately. I'm like, that's not the way to listen to music. Music is something you're supposed to take in,
no,
suck in and enjoy
yeah,
it. And, that's what I love about
yeah,
your songs, that you get that with every one of your songs. And everyone's got a different flavor to it, but yet it all kind of comes from the same fruit.
yes, sir. Agreed. Yes, sir.
And like we said, a lot of these songs I've heard already because they've been around for a while. People are going to hear them maybe for the first time because there's going to be a bigger distribution to them. I mean, every band has their song that kind of represents what. And to me, I always feel like "Drowning" was one of those songs that kind of encompasses what the band is all about. I mean, do you feel like there's any one song that says, "Hey, this is Rahway. This is what we're about"?
No, man, you hit the nail on the head because I feel the same way.
Really?
I feel the same. Yeah, drowning. It's fun to play. The song, it gets me. It gets the crowd going. It's just a good groove. That song's good from beginning to end. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love all the other songs too. There's not one of them I hate, but drowning is particular. It's very particular, and it seems to be gaining a lot of traction. Man, it just digs in, and it doesn't leave you when the song's over. It stays with you.
Yeah, it's got that groove. That's why. I mean, it's got an incredible groove. People always say bands
Yeah.
write about their environment, where they come from. Then I think about like Coco. Like, what was going on back then?
You've been listening, haven't you?
Yeah, of course, over the years. But I just love that because everything's like so raw and unfiltered with you guys. You know what I mean? It's whether it's something that was just made up to tell a story, something that you actually really lived through. I just feel that's the whole thing about it is that you guys are real. There's no pretentious and no phoniness about you guys.
you got, you're absolutely right, man. There ain't nobody faking this band.
So who was with the
We keep
Coco?
it, we keep it complete. That was so long ago. I don't remember, man. But it came up as a joke, and yeah, the old bass player's like, I'm writing a song about that, man. I'm like, okay, and he did, and I'm like, okay. So it must have been him.
Yeah, but it's one of those songs that kind of stands out just for what it's about and what it means. And I know that you guys were called Son early on in the day, and I heard that Steven Tyler came up the name Rollway. How that happened, how you got a story out of that is beyond me.
Well, we were son, and we were working with Stan Vincent.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
he did a lot of songs in the '50s, and he did some songs in the late '60s that were really. I mean, he made a lot of money on those songs, big hits. And then he started working with Prong, I believe, um, with his own record company. But somehow we ended up with Jack Douglas of Aerosmith, Cheap Trick, John Lennon fame, and he was working on an album with Aerosmith, and he'd come out and see us at these little dive bars all over the place in New Jersey. And he goes, "Oh, I got to capture this live. I get it." And he was working. We were talking on the phone, and he was out up in Boston, I believe, working on Honkin' on Bobo. And he had brought it up, to Steven, and he goes, "Oh, what's the name of the band?" And I think the name of our band was Push Rod or something like that. And Steven said, and this is what Jack said. I remember because I was laying under a truck at work working on it, and he calls me and he's telling me, he's like, "If you want me to work with you, you got to change the name of the band to Rahway." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "You got to change the name of the band to Rahway. I'm not working with you." I was like, "Okay, why?" And he goes, "Oh, I told Steven about the name, and he said it sounds like Nimrod. It's stupid." And he asked where are those guys from, and I told him they're from Rahway, and we were not from Rahway. We just had a loft warehouse we used to rehearse
Yeah.
in Rahway. And he goes, "Well, they should name the band Rahway because that's way cooler than Nimrod." It was Push Rod, but he would make fun of it and say Nimrod.
Yeah.
So he gives me a call and he says, I'm not working with you if you don't change the name of the band Rahway." I was like, "Whatever you say, Jack." And it's been that way ever since.
It's a good thing you didn't mention about Freeholder Passaic. You would have had a different name.
Yeah, really.
That's a pretty cool story, just that it came out that way. I was going to say, I don't think anybody's from Roy in the band, but I mean, it is a cool name.
No, no, none of us are from Rahway. I mean, I lived in Rahway for about, I don't know, maybe 8 months when I was like a teenager, but that's a whole
Yeah,
different story.
yeah, we won't tell nobody. We'll keep that, we'll keep that a
Yeah,
secret.
yeah.
But because I mean, you've been in this a long time. You know how the music business works and how the scene constantly changes. What's popular today is gone tomorrow. Then it's something the next day. Do you
Right.
find it important to to ride the course steady and keep doing what you're doing and not kind of go with fads and change your sound or style based on what's happening around you?
No, no. I haven't changed anything. No, I don't plan on changing anything. We don't plan on changing anything. We just, things are going to come and things are going to go. And people seem to love what we're doing. And, the crowds just keep on getting bigger and the fans just keep on getting bigger. And they just, like the friendships and the circles of people that we're meeting keeps getting bigger. And all we are doing is all we've ever wanted to do is just be a good, dirty rock and roll band.
And that's all you should
We're
be.
not looking to, yeah, we're not looking to change the world. We're not inventing the wheel. We just love playing music and we love, making people happy. We love making ourselves happy. Most important,
Hey, Dave, I think I
still
lost you there.
there?
Yeah, yeah, I think the signal dropped, but we're
No, I
back
got you
there.
back.
Okay, great. Like your music appeals really to a vast audience. I mean, you just don't have like one crowd of music listeners that are going to say, "I'm into Raw Way, but I'm not because they're not what I'm into." You appeal to a wide audience of people without even trying. I mean, that's something that's kind of impressive. That you could write songs that feel good to you, but yet could appeal to a guy who's maybe into rock, another guy who's strictly into metal, a guy that's into alternative. I mean, you can
Yeah.
really appeal to that vast audience without even trying. That's what's impressive is that you just kind of it comes out natural, and that's kind of be hard as a songwriter, or maybe it's not when you're influenced by so many different things.
At the risk of sounding arrogant, maybe not arrogant, maybe more pompous, we don't like sit down and go, "This is the way we're writing." Whatever's going to come out is going to come out, and we let it come out because it deserved to be, to come out. And it did. Like there's some ballads in there that, we wouldn't normally be playing, but they came out. So what do? You don't let them come out
Right.
because you're like in fear of ridicule of somebody saying, "Oh, you guys are weak for writing that song." A song is a song. It comes out. What you write is what you write. And it is. We just let it breathe. We're not trying to follow any trends. We're just trying to be us and be the actual air quotation words of recording artists. We're not. We don't say we're metal or we're rock or we're prog or we're just a just a good dirty rock and roll band, and whatever we write, and people seem to love it. So like, we're not going to stop doing that. That's what we do.
And you shouldn't. But when you write a song like that, like it's like a ballad, you came up with it. Is it hard to convince the other three guys to go along with it, or they just sit back and say because they know the way the band works? All right, let's just take this in. Let's figure it out. Let's see what we can do with it. Or they just is there like you're butting heads right off the bat because it's not something that the rest of them want to do?
No, no. If somebody writes something and presents it to the band or a riff, or there's no like hard feelings. If somebody says, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And they go, "Ah, it sucks." Okay, move on. Who got something else? We don't we don't get butt hurt over anything.
Yeah.
You know. And
Other
if it
things that
sounds like there's something that's going to be there, we'll work on it, and we'll put it through the meat grinder and get it done.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, do you ever have to shelf a song maybe sometimes early on in the stages of it because nobody can get along with it or just figure it out? Then maybe a couple of months later, a year later, you go back to it and now it kind of works.
Yes, absolutely. Because sometimes there's something that you're not in love with it, but you're like, there's something there. I can't figure out what it is. I know that there's something. Your mind and you keep coming back to it, but you're not forcing it because you don't want to force it, and then but you don't want to quit on it because when it sucks, it sucks. When something's there, you just keep on chipping at it until like the fruit comes out of it, and then like, oh, there it is. That's what I was missing, and then there it is. And then from there the floodgates open, and like now it starts to flow because you figured out what wasn't working.
Yeah, I think every guitarist has that one riff in the head that they come up with that they can never use. They just can't find the place to put it, and it keeps getting pushed back and
Yeah,
pushed back. And do you have that riff that you still
yeah.
haven't used yet that you just can't figure out a way to make it work?
Yeah, I have several of them, and I've been trying to get them out for like maybe I don't know, 15 years, and I still can't get them to work on anything. They just won't. They don't fit on anything. That's ironic
Crazy.
you said that. That's so
Yeah.
true. Yeah, it's so
Oh, I
true.
know. You're like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. Then you're like, well, what comes next? And you just can't put it together. It just doesn't happen. No matter how good a
Yeah,
songwriter you are, it just you draw a blank.
but I tell you what, I'll play that one riff, and it still sounds so badass. I just can't put it to anything.
Yeah. But that's what makes a good musician is that no matter what you write, it's timeless. I told you I was watching
Yeah,
Three's Company the other day. I'm like, how the hell did I laugh my ass off at this show back in the '70s? I don't get it. It's just not funny. Then I could watch an Abbott and Costello thing and laugh my ass off. Like some things are timeless. When you know what you're doing and you do it well,
yes,
it'll stand the test of time. Whether it's 10 years from now, or 20 years from now, or 30 years from now.
absolutely. I agree.
Uh,
I agree.
Dave, with everything going on now with the band, I think the big things are going to start happening now because you just came off the road too. You guys were out for a couple of weeks in January, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah. It was really fun. We had a good time.
How'd that
Made a
go?
lot of new
I mean,
fans.
I know you weren't in New Jersey or New York during this run, but I mean, you were around us, but you didn't make it here. But everything went well.
Yeah, it went well. Great. Made a lot of new fans, a lot of new friends, not a lot of new family. Just met a lot of good people. We played. We 10 days out there, 12 travel days. We were out there with Scotty Austin from Saving Abel, and it was great. Met a bunch of new bands that were great. Made some lifelong friends.
It's always good.
It was good stuff, man. It's good stuff.
Every time you go out on the road and you play live or you do like shows in your area, you want to either like you're gonna get the crowd that knows you that's coming to see you. Then there's gonna be the crowd that came maybe for another band that you want to win over. Do you take it every night as like, hey, we're gonna win this crowd over, whether with playing with an artist maybe not in the same genre as us, but that's you look at that as your biggest opportunity to grab new fans is going out there live and trying to win them over that way.
Yes, absolutely. And it does. That's exactly how it goes down too, because um, at first we were directed by our manager to make sure that we go directly to the merchandise booth after we're done getting off stage. And believe it or not, people they line up and they want to buy CDs and T-shirts, and they want to meet us and take pictures and get autographs, and to be said about shaking hands and giving people their due because they deserve it. Um, we're not like that kind of rock star thing where like like the fans that we've made over the past several years, you know, they write us individually, like in our inboxes and Facebook, and we answer them back because we're not we're not those guys. We're not rock starring anybody. You write to say hello, man. I'm saying hello back. And these fans stick, and they've been sticking, and they bring their friends next time we come around again, and they turn them on, and it works. It really does. It works.
That's
It's a
always a
beautiful
big thing.
thing.
When you could reach the band, you meet them in person, touch them, get an autograph from them, take a picture with them. That does go a long way, more than anything you could imagine. People don't realize that
Yeah,
interaction is what
yeah,
fans want. They want to be able to interact with. It's not like they're not going to be able to get to Metallica or Megadeth or Slayer or any other
yeah,
big band out there, but they can get to everybody else. And then when you guys get to that level, you don't forget. And you remember where you came from.
yeah. God willing, I ever get to that level, I'm still going to be the same way. I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be shaking hands and saying hello. And if you write me, I'm going to write you back.
I'm sure you will, and I think you're going to get the boat levels because you guys got everything going on for you, and I think this is going to be a big release, and now new music coming out. I mean, we're only in the beginning of 2026, but what's the plans for the rest of this year? Is it just working on the new music, hitting the road again, local
Well,
shows?
working on new music is a never ending thing, so that's always going down. So like I can bypass that question because that's always happening. Period. Um, but mostly concentrating on touring. So there's some irons in the fires and some things coming up in spring and in summer, and I believe there's a lot of things in like September or October of next. When the sun goes around a couple more times, and
Yep.
so we're going to be playing a lot of shows. Over the next 10 months.
That's a great thing. And I mean, doing what you do, I mean, what do you find to be the biggest challenge of being in a band today? Because, like you're saying, you do the show, then you got to get to the merchandise table, and sometimes the business gets more in the way of the music sometimes. So, do you find that to be challenging, having to handle the business end of it as much as you do the music end of it? Or is it just, everybody kind of takes their share of what they have to do?
No, everybody takes their share. I don't find it a hassle at all. We have a great team, from our manager to our social media guy to our PR people, to our entertainment partnerships, um, Pavement, Distilled, Sony Music. We have such a great team, and don't let me forget our road crew, bar none, just a great bunch of guys, man. They're in it with us.
The
Our
old,
team is so great; it makes it fun and easy.
and that's what's important. You want it to be fun and easy, and the road crew is always the most important guys out there, besides the band members playing the music, and they never get the credit that they deserve. You're the first one that's ever thanked the road crew on my show, and it lasts almost 20 years.
No, they're band members. We don't consider them just a crew.
Yeah.
Those guys, man, we have such a blast together, and we have so much fun. We have
That's
like family supper. It's just like,
Well,
they're a
that's a
part of
beautiful
everything.
thing. I know you said you got a lot of shows coming up this year, but is there anything you could tell me about in the New York, New Jersey area that I'm going to get to come out to?
Um, I believe, and don't hold me to this, but I'm like 98% sure of this. I believe we're going to be back at the Starland with and play there. I think Steel Panther maybe. I'm not
All
sure,
right, that'll be a great
but
show.
yeah, we played with them before, man. They bring a lot of people, and we have a lot of fans that we got from playing with them in previous shows. But then again, every time we play with somebody, we pick up a lot of fans. From Ace Frehley when we play with Ace, when we play with Buck Cherry, when we play with the guys from Skid Row who are you know our state neighbors here, great guys as
Yeah,
well. Um, but like everybody we play with, like we get along with them, and you know we steal some of their fans maybe a little bit. I don't know.
that's what you got to do. But just listen to all the bands that you named, all so varied musically, and you fit in with all of them. You know what I'm saying. That's why I say you
Oh
could
yeah,
appeal to
100%.
you could appeal to every audience. There's always someone out there going to say, "I didn't hear these guys, but holy shit, they really drew me in." And that's the great thing I think
Yeah,
about Rahway is that you can appeal to a lot of different people. Maybe they'll say that's not my song, but the next five are, and I love that about you guys.
yeah, yeah. We don't Nobody's putting baby in a corner. We write for the world.
Oh man, I love that. Dave, I'm gonna let you go because I hear my voice is about to completely go and I'm out of cough drops. But man, such a fan. I will see you guys when you're in, hopefully in the Starland thing. I'll be there for that. But keep doing what you're doing, and I can't wait for the next one to come out after this one.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike. Really appreciate it.
You got it, Dave. You have a great night, my friend. Take care.
You too.
Bye bye. All right, I want to thank Dave and Sal for being on tonight's show. Don't forget to tune in next Sunday night. Daryl Fatora of Blind Vengeance. How about we close it out tonight with a little Helion? I know I said I wouldn't play them no more, but I think we've done it once before in the past. So here you go. Up from the depths. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Sunday night.